This is Surrounding, I'm Richard, and welcome to Fallout 4 Private Army. Last time, we went to Fort Hagen and accidentally killed Kellogg before he told us where Sean was or how to get him. So in this episode, we're going to take his brain implants to the memory den and see if we can read out from there any clues about how to get into the Institute. So without further ado, let's get started.
The tide to this place, kid. Your energy.
I used to live here. A long time ago.
But the distant past ain't so distant for you. I saw you leave that icebox. This whole world is like some bad dream you can't wake up from, isn't it? The site can help you, kid. It always has answers. Just gotta bring me some jet so I can see what it wants to tell you.
The site isn't worth killing yourself over, Mama Murphy. It doesn't have to define what you are or what you can give.
All right, kid. You got me. If me hanging around for a little longer is worth that much to you, then I'll go clean. No more chems. No more sight.
Hey, let me ask you something.
Sure, ask away.
It's just, with everything that's happened with you and your family, it's a whole hell of a lot to process. I wanted to make sure you're holding up all right.
Why do you ask?
I just had a hard go with the, transition myself. Took me a long damn time to get a feel for this place. Thank goodness I found Diamond City. It's got its flaws, sure, but it beats the hell out of anywhere else in the Commonwealth. Of course, when I took up there back when, people were just as scared of the Institute as they are now. Maybe more. The massacre of the CPG was still pretty fresh in people's minds at that point. Folks were still losing sleep over the broken mask. Plenty of people assumed I was just a saboteur, moving in to melt down the reactor or poison the drinking water. But at the time, they couldn't exactly turn me away.
Let me just step away from him a moment. Oh, Murphy. Right, okay. Well, you said the CPG massacre first, didn't you?
Massacre of the CPG? What's that?
The Commonwealth Provisional Government. Years back, a group of settlements tried to get together and form a coalition. Every settlement with even a hint of clout sent representatives to try and hash out an agreement. Only the Institute sent a representative of their own, a synth. The man killed every rep at the talks. The Commonwealth Provisional Government was over before it even got off the ground. I took up in town not long after. I was damn lucky they didn't just tell me to scram right then and there.
Broken mask?
This was long before I'd moved to town, but apparently some gentleman type shows up in Diamond City, heads down to Power Noodles. Guess he didn't like the food because he pulled his pistol and opened fire on the folks enjoying theirs. When security finally put enough holes in him to drop him, they say he was full of servos and sprockets, just like yours truly. Seems he malfunctioned, went berserk. It was the first time people realized that synths had stopped looking like me and started looking like them. Considering what these folks went through, I felt real lucky they let me in the front gate at all.
Why would you want to live among bigots like that?
Now, I couldn't really blame them, given the circumstances. But folks sure started turning the other cheek when I showed up with the mayor's daughter. Gal of about 15. Pride and joy of the mayor back then. Man by the name of Henry Roberts. The young Miss Roberts decided she'd run off with some caravan hand she'd, known for an evening. Turns out the guy was part of a gang of kidnappers. I didn't even know who I was rescuing, just stumbled on a crying girl and 4 toughs. I took her home and the mayor dubbed me a hero, offered me a place in town. Lots of folks protested, said I was a spy, but he wouldn't have it. Taking up in the city was tricky at first, but I never tried to hide what I was, and people seemed to warm to that.
You took down 4 guys by yourself?
Well, I didn't have to. Back then, synths were even more of an unknown quantity than they are today. I told them I was rigged to explode and started going beep, beep, beep. Hardest part of that rescue was keeping from laughing as they climbed over each other to get away.
Was it hard, settling in?
They sure didn't make it easy. I started off doing the jobs no one else wanted. got more banged up being Diamond City's handyman than I ever did living out in the ruins. But I guess folks never forgot I rescued the mayor's daughter, so they started coming to me when people went missing. Wife runs off with a new paramour and takes the rent money with her. Talk to the synth. An upset father decides moving him and the kids to Good Neighbor in the dead of night's not the worst damn idea since the bomb. Go get Nick. After a while, the jobs got so backed up, they didn't even ask me to do the handyman stuff anymore. Hell, I was so happy to do it, it was months before I started charging anyone. I never stopped being Nick the Synth, but it was Nick the Detective folks came to see. It was about then that things finally started feeling normal. It took me a long time to realize that home is where you make it. And with some time and effort, this place can be home for you, too. That's a long story, but I hope it helps. Want to get moving?
Thank you, Nick. So do a quick level up first. Okay, I'm going to put it into agility. I want to move up to ninja, and I also want an extra luck because the first one I can't have there is better criticals. I wish I knew this game better.
Did the Minutemen send you?
Is there some kind of problem?
We're having a lot of trouble with a group of raiders. Stealing our food and supplies. Do you think you can persuade them to leave us alone?
Any idea how many raiders we're talking about?
No telling, I'm afraid. Well, this time there were 3, but who knows how many are back at their base.
Don't worry. I'll take care of those raiders for you.
Oh, good. It'll be relief not to have to worry about them.
Nice of you to come again. More paper cuts than back home.
Okay, here we are outside Park Street Station. And we have to get up to Good Neighbor.
What? Who's there? Oh. What's that?
I managed to get past. Not bad.
Hey there.
I told you, you can't walk around Good Neighbor without insurance.
Insurance?
That's right. Insurance. Personal protection, like. You hand over everything you got in their pockets, or accidents start happening to you. Big, bloody accidents.
Whoa, time out. Nick Valentine makes a fair visit to town.
Fortunately, you picked the right town.
Walk into a new place, make a show of dominance. Nice. Good neighbors of the people, for the people. You feel me? Everyone's welcome.
Good Neighbor. That what you call this place?
That's right. We cobbled this little neighborhood together out of the freaks and misfits that just wouldn't be accepted anywhere else. You'll see. You make enough friends here, you'll call this place home soon enough. So long as you remember who's in charge.
Survival of the fittest. That fella is not fit. He's carrying a pipe pistol, for heaven's sake. Up against us. He's an idiot.
Oh, new face walks into my store, and you're not even screaming yet. Very polite. You let me know if anything catches your fancy.
Did you say something about people screaming at you?
That's right. Some newcomers have never seen a ghoul before. Can't handle a friendly face, I say. So you need some supplies?
What's it like, you know, being a ghoul?
Well, it's a lot worse when people always ask you about it all the time. But I guess I can't blame them. On the upside, I look pretty good for being over 220 years old. Now, were you buying anything?
Wait, you're 220 years old.
Okay, it's more like 270 years. But don't go blabbing that to everyone. Being a ghoul means you live a long time. You stop counting birthdays. Do you know what it's like being that old?
Actually, I do.
Well, now you're just making fun of me. If you were as old as I was, you would have been around since before the war. So let's hear it. Come on. Tell me what the world was like before the war, if you're so ancient.
The world before was nothing but petty governments going to war, dragging us into it, and shooting whoever refused to clean up the mess.
You know, I had a husband that was killed in the war with the Reds. They didn't even tell me where he died. Classified information and all that. Well, you're either the most well-preserved ghoul I've ever seen, or you're the second best bullshitter and good neighbor. Ah!
So, what do you remember about the past?
Oh, sweetie. I was an angry young woman back then. Thought the world was sick and wouldn't give me my due. Then it all ended. Well, I ended in a way, becoming a ghoul. Maybe when you get to be my age, everything starts to look like fate. Anyway, I like your story better, whether or not it's true.
It's the truth. All of it.
You know, if you haven't already, you should check out the Hotel Rexford. There's another pre-war ghoul hanging around there. Well, we should get back to business. What are you picking up?
Okay, there we go. I bought a bit of ammo off her. Got a helmet, because I keep getting hit in the head. And I finally found a combat shotgun. And I've sold her the turret ammo, bit of flamer fuel, a few guns I don't use, a bit of ammo I don't use. And I'm only paying her 52 bottle caps, so that's pretty good.
Well, hello. Everything here is guaranteed to injure, maim, or kill at your discretion. Except me. I only kill when I want to.
Who? What are you?
I'm a woman, baby. Can't you tell?
Oh, of course you are. It's just all those metal plates. You're a robot, right? A very womanly robot.
Designation, Assaultron. Designed to provide a variety of security-related tasks to the modern man. Runtime conclusion. Why work for the man when you can work for yourself? New designation. KLEO. Cleo. Fully independent small business owner. Robot enough for you, smooth talker? Now what are you buying?
You're an Assaultron?
That's what my makers called me. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm a woman. And I run a store that sells very large guns. So what'll it be?
So what kinds of weapons do you have?
Anything that can kill a man, I sell. Except suicidal depression. That is unfortunately not packageable. Now, are we doing business?
Nothing much there. Bought another couple of bits of the ammo I'm short of, but apart from that, nothing.
Well, Mr. Valentine, I thought you had forgotten about little old me.
May have walked out of the den, Irma, but I'd never walk out on you.
Amari's downstairs, you big flirt.
Yes, Nick slipped out of our party.
Dr. Amari?
Yes? I take it this isn't a social call.
This one's all yours, Nick.
We need a memory dig, Amari, but it's not going to be easy. The perp, Kellogg, is already cold on the floor.
Are you two mad? Putting aside the fact that you're asking me to defile a corpse, you don't realize that the memory simulators require intact, living brains to function.
Isn't there some way to make this work?
This dead brain had inside knowledge of the Institute, Amari. The biggest scientific secret of the Commonwealth. You need this, and so do we.
Fine. I'll take a look. But no guarantees. Do you have it with you?
How much of the brain do you need, exactly?
That is not an encouraging question. I suppose I'll have to make do with whatever you can find.
Here's what I could find.
What's this? This isn't a brain. This is... Wait. That's the hippocampus. And this thing attached to it? A neural interface?
Those circuits look awfully familiar.
I'm not surprised. From what I've seen, all Institute technology has a similar architecture.
Nick's an older model synth. Is he still compatible?
That's exactly what I was thinking. If we are lucky, it should hook right in. But even if this works, Mr. Valentine would be taking on a tremendous amount of risk. We're talking about wiring something to his brain.
Don't worry about me, Amari. Let's do it.
You really think this'll work, Nick?
No idea. But we got a missing kid on the line. That's worth the risk.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Valentine, just sit down.
If I start cackling like an old grizzled mercenary, pull me out, okay?
Let's see here. I need you to keep talking to me, Mr. Valentine. Any slight change in your cognitive functions could be dire. Are you feeling any different?
There's a lot of flashes. Static. I can't make sense of any of it, Doc.
That's what I was afraid of. The mnemonic impressions are encoded. It appears the Institute has one last failsafe. There's a lock on the memories in the implant.
How do you lock memories?
The implant is encoding all the mnemonic activity in the hippocampus. Think of it like computer encryption, and we don't have the password. Let's see. A single mind wouldn't be able to crack it. But what if we use two? We load both you and Mr. Valentine into the memory loungers. Run your cognitive functions in parallel. He'll act as a host, while your consciousness drives through whatever memories we can find.
Any idea of what I'm gonna see in there?
I have no clue. But considering we only have a single piece of the medial temporal lobe and not the whole brain, I doubt it'll be cohesive.
All right, let's get started.
Just sit down over there and keep your fingers crossed.
See you on the other side.
Okay. Now let's have our brains hacked.
Initiating brainwave migration between the transplant and the host. Mnemonic activity coming from the transplant. It's degenerated, but it's there. We're going to load you into the strongest memories we can find. They might not be stable. Just hold on. Can you hear me? Ah, good. The simulation appears to be working, although the memories are quite fragmentary. I'll try to step you through the intact memories and hope we find one that gives us some clue to the Institute's location. There. This is the earliest intact memory I can find. Remember, you are experiencing these memories as Kellogg. This may prove disorienting at first.
Turn down the goddamn radio! I'm trying to sleep!
California Republic. All 5 states have now signed on, which means that as of this moment, we are all citizens of the...
I was such a dummy back then. What did I know about how the world worked? I think now she wanted me to kill him. I should have. Instead, I ended up running away. I told myself I wanted to find somewhere out from under the thumb of the NCR and all their rules. But really, I was running from the guilt of not protecting her from Dad. Yeah, it doesn't matter now, though.
California Republic. I'm sure that's gonna take some getting used to for a lot of people.
What?
Mom knew how it was. She wasn't soft, but, She loved me, in her way. And she protected me from Dad. That cost her more than a few beatings. I never knew what happened to her after I left. I didn't want to know. Not then.
Joke.
What's it mean, Mom?
Nothing, Connie. People like to talk and hope someone else is going to keep them safe.
Teacher at school said the NCR would bring back the good old days. Like before the big war.
Don't you listen to that twaddle. I'm going to stop sending you if that's what they're teaching you.
I'm going out. Where the fuck did you put my boots?
Listen to me, Connie. You take this. You're old enough. You're the man of the family now. It's your job to protect us. Your father's useless, but you won't turn out like him. You're a good boy. And all that on the radio, all useless talk. The only thing that will protect you in this world is that gun in your hands. You need to learn to use it if you're going to survive.
I will, Mom. I promise. I won't let you down.
You've always been my good boy.
This doesn't seem to be what we're looking for. There appears to be another intact memory close to you in temporal sequence. There. Try that one.
I was the worst thing that ever happened to her. If she'd never met me, she'd have stayed in the hub, maybe hooked up with someone who didn't kill people for a living. Probably been happier than she was with me. Almost certainly lived longer. It's gonna be fine. You'll see.
But we don't know anybody here. And now, with the baby?
Come on, Sarah, you've got to give it a chance. Whatever made me think that a guy like me should have a daughter? No, I never deserved her. Not for 1 second. I finally got steady work with a good outfit. Nothing like that in the end. The thing about happiness is you only know you had it when it's gone. I mean, you may think to yourself that you're happy, but you don't really believe it. Focus on that petty bullshit or next job or whatever. It's only looking back, by comparison with what comes after, that you really understand that's what happiness felt like. They are these days.
No, I'm not saying this was a mistake. I'm just... Are you sure these guys know what they're doing? They seem kinda green.
I know, but that's where I come in. Just wait. In a few years, I'll be running my own crew. As soon as I make the connections I need. Then I can give you anything you want. And little Mary, too.
I never worried about you before. Must be my mama instincts kicking in. Who knew I had those, huh?
Come on, you're great with her. And you don't need to worry about me. Most of it's just running security for the she. A lot of standing around looking tough.
No, they sure picked the right person for that job.
Listen, it's gonna be great here. See this? This is what's gonna keep you and Mary safe. I promise.
I know, Connie. I'm sure we're gonna be really happy here.
We are. You'll see. That's okay. I got her.
How did you think this was gonna end, Kellogg? You thought you could just fuck with us, and we wouldn't fuck with you? Just so you know, they died like dogs. And you
I found
weren't
another
there
memory to try.
to help them.
I'll connect you.
Mind if we...
I don't remember much from that time. It all kinda blends together. There was almost always a bar, though. That's universal.
Sit down.
Suit yourself. There was always a job for someone like me. Didn't matter what it was. Didn't matter who I was supposed to kill. I got pretty good at it. I didn't care where I was going. Ended up mostly wandering east. Getting as far away from San Francisco as I could, maybe.
So, I hear you'll take care...
There's always someone who wanted someone else dead. Sometimes just roughed up, but, dead was usually what they wanted. Sometimes they thought they could cheat me. That was usually only when I first arrived somewhere. Didn't matter to me. They just took it as part of the job. Little extra thrown in for free. I always got paid in the end. One way or another.
There are people's problems. Is that right?
If you pay me.
Oh, we'll pay you. And, you'll do this all by yourself?
That's right.
We pay you when the job's done. Is that okay?
That's the way you want to do it? So who do you want dead?
Well, it's like this. There's his family. Lives down the creek a ways.
Mr. Kellogg, I'm glad you decided to meet with me.
So, I finally ended up in the Commonwealth. I kinda ran out of road. Plus, I'd come to terms with life. I wasn't gonna be stupid enough to get mixed up with caring about other people again. It was just me against the world. And the world had it coming. You're with the Institute. You heard all sorts of rumors about the Institute. But I figured they were just a convenient boogeyman for anything bad that ever happened. They were real, all right. They didn't know anything about operating on the surface. Relied on their synths for everything. They had the resources I needed, and I had the expertise they needed. Turned into a permanent arrangement, which suited me just fine. The first synths weren't all that impressive. I'm good, but I'm not that good. But the Institute could always make more, and kept making them better each time. They still give me the creeps, but you have to get used to them if you want to work with the Institute. I wanted to see for myself if you really existed.
We do, as you can see.
What do you want?
It's come to my attention that you've been rather disruptive of our operations lately. This must stop.
I do what people pay me to do. If that's a problem for you, I can see only one way out.
And what's that, Mr. Kellogg?
If I'm working for you, there's no more problem. From what I hear, you can afford me.
I don't think you fully understand the situation you're in.
I think I do.
Very well. B-748, initiate. Impressive. We may have something to talk about after all.
The eggheads never liked taking orders from a dirty, contaminated degenerate like me. But they needed me, and I made sure they knew it.
All computers are still working.
I was now the Institute's main operator in the Commonwealth. If they needed something done, they came to me. It wasn't usual for anybody from the Institute to come along on a mission, so this one stood out. They didn't know then who it was we were grabbing from the vault. Of course, Neither did they. Not really.
That's good. Checking through the logs. Hopefully it's all...
Just find it.
Pod C6. Down the hall near the end.
I'm glad I didn't have to kill the kid. I'm not saying I haven't done it, but, I never liked to. But it was better this way. Better than taking his kid and leaving him alive. Even then, I knew it was a mistake leaving her alive. I understood that kind of revenge. No one better. But I was cocky enough to assume I could handle some soft, pre-war vault dweller, even if she somehow got thawed out. At least I know those Institute bastards will soon get what's coming to them, too. If she could take me out, they won't be able to hide from her for long.
This is the one. Here.
Open it.
Is it
Almost. Everything's gonna be fine.
Okay? Come here. Come here, baby.
No. I've got him.
Let the boy go. I'm only gonna tell you once.
I'm not giving you Sean!
God damn it. Get the kid out of here and let's go. At least we still have the backup.
Cryogenic sequence reinitialized.
What's the holdup?
I'm almost finished, Kellogg. I just need to confirm. Come on. All right, we're good.
I'm sorry you had to go through that again. I found another intact memory. Whenever you're ready. Is that your son?
His whole setup
This
in
appears to
Diamond
be a
City
very
was
recent
part of some
memory,
elaborate
so
plan of the old
good news,
man's.
I think.
Seems obvious now that we were bait for our friend from the vault. Timing couldn't have been an accident. It's not how the old man works. I wonder if he outsmarted me in the end. Another loose end tied up. Wasn't my idea to settle down with the kid in the middle of Diamond City. I thought it was a terrible idea, actually. But it was one of the old man's pet projects, so here we were. Me and the kid. Like a happy little family. I ended up kind of liking it. A reminder of what my life might have been if things had turned out differently. But there's no going back. I knew it was just temporary. It'd be back to normal business before too long.
Oh boy. Piper has really done it this time. I mean, I'm not saying she's right, but Mayor, he's gonna be written there this time. I probably shouldn't have used,
Kellogg. The new breed of synths could easily pass as human. Some of them did. But the coursers, they weren't built to blend in. They were killing machines, pure and simple. Smarter, stronger, and faster than almost any real human. I'm just glad they were always on my side. It's okay. One of these days, you're gonna get your head blown off just barging in here like that.
Minimizing my exposure to civilians is a priority.
Forget I said anything. So what's the big crisis this time?
New orders for you. One of our scientists has left the Institute.
Left? As in?
He's gone rogue. Name's Dr. Brian Virgil. We know he's hiding somewhere in the glowing sea. Here's his file.
Wow. Some heads are gonna roll for this. Capture and return, or just elimination?
Elimination. He was working on a highly classified program.
No kidding. One of the top bioscience boys? Damn. So, I guess you're taking the kid back with you.
Affirmative. Your only mission is to locate and eliminate Virgil.
If anything like this had ever happened before, I've never heard of it. Maybe a sign that the old man was losing his grip. Finding someone in the glowing sea wasn't gonna be any picnic. I never expected an Institute egghead to give me so much trouble.
You're taking me home to my father?
Yes. Stand next to me and hold still.
Okay.
X688, ready to relay with Sean.
Bye, Mr. Kellogg. I hope I see you again soon.
Bye.
Teleportation. Now it all makes sense. Nobody's found the entrance to the Institute because there is no entrance. Let me pull you out of there as soon as you're ready. Slow movements, okay? I don't know what kind of side effects the procedure might have had. No one's ever done this before. How do you feel?
Am I okay? Are you seeing anything bad?
Don't be alarmed, but I honestly don't know what to look for. As I said before, this is uncharted territory, but your neural and physiological readings have returned to normal. From a medical standpoint, you're fine. Are you ready to talk about what happened in there?
You were along for the ride, weren't you? You saw what I saw.
Yes, but it's important we review everything together, in case either of us missed anything.
I saw Kellogg's life. The man who ruined my family. The man I killed.
That's right. He was a human being just like the rest of us, and he had reasons for being what he was, however cruel. How does that make you feel?
I'm not sure, Doctor.
I don't know if there's any right way to feel, either. We're getting off track. The important thing is that we discovered the Institute's greatest secret, teleportation. The only question is, what do we do now?
That scientist Kellogg was supposed to track down. Virgil. We need to find him.
You're right. A rogue Institute scientist could answer all kinds of questions. Where did the memory say he was? The glowing sea? That doesn't make sense. No one goes there. Not even if they were desperate.
Why? What makes the glowing sea so dangerous?
The name says it all. Radiation. So much that nothing there could possibly live. Nothing pleasant. Navigating radioactive hazards is nothing new. But the glowing sea can kill a man in seconds. That's why it doesn't make sense. Virgil fleeing into that hell. The exposure alone.
That's why he's there. To make the Institute think twice about following him.
That must be it. He's using the radiation in the glowing sea like a shield, or a cloak. A way to throw them off and be at an advantage. If Virgil found a way to survive there, you'll have to do the same. If you're going to follow him.
How do I fight that much radiation, Doctor?
There are chemical compounds. Rad-X, Radaway. You'd need as much as you could carry. Maybe more. A sealed environment suit would be great, if you could find one. Or maybe one of those suits of power armor. That would be perfect.
I'll find a way to get through the rats. Don't worry.
Good luck. And be safe. By the way, I unplugged Mr. Valentine first. Removed the implant while you were waking up. He's waiting for you upstairs.
Right. Now, we have Curie here. So let's see what happens.
Doctor, my friend here needs your help.
Oh? I'm not a mechanic. What could she possibly want from me?
Oh, this doctor can help me? Greetings, doctor. I wish to download my data and core programming into a human brain.
You want what? Is she serious?
Can you do it or not?
I won't even consider something like this unless there's a good reason.
I was programmed to further our studies of disease, pathogens, and viruses. I cannot do this with the fundamental limitations of my robotic systems. If I become human, with the wealth of information in my databanks, I hope to do much good for the Commonwealth.
A pre-war robot with your knowledge and skills plus human cognition. Yes, you could potentially save many lives. It's an interesting problem. The memories wouldn't be hard. We translate those from the brain to computers and back all the time here. It's how the loungers work. Her personality, though. All the extra pieces of robotic programmed decision-making. A normal organic brain wouldn't know what to do with them. A synth brain, on the other hand, well, it's already somewhere between the two.
What do you know about synths?
To be clear, it may not work. But some synths have cybernetic enhancements that interface directly with their brains. The Institute must have found an interpreter for raw data. That's my hope, at least.
So it is possible, then?
Likely, even. We just need a synth. And I may be able to help with that. I've worked on synths before. Giving them memory wipes, so they can live a life free of the Institute. But the procedure isn't always successful. If something goes wrong, it can leave them in a brain-dead state. Living, but with no cognition. I know a caretaker for one of these brain-dead synths. If they're willing, we could try transferring your friend's consciousness into her.
So you're willing to perform the operation?
My patient knew the risks and opted for memory replacement. She wanted a new life. I failed her. But this procedure may be as close as I can get to fulfilling her wishes. But I cannot make this decision. Her caretaker can. Give me a day to get in contact with them. They're understandably cautious, but I think they'll hear me out.
I will stay with Doctor. Assuming all goes well, I want to be ready for the procedure.
Right, so we've temporarily lost a couple of members of our party.
Nick.
Hope you got what you were looking for inside my head. I was right. I should have killed you when you were on ice.
What did you say?
What? What are you talking about?
You feeling all right, Nick?
Yeah, I'm fine. Why?
You sounded like Kellogg just then.
Did I? Huh. Mari said there might be some mnemonic impressions left over. Anyway, I feel fine, so let's get going. Or I could head back to Diamond City, since you've got company already.
Let's get going, Nick.
Been one heck of a ride so far. Let's see where it takes us next. I think we ought to talk.
What's wrong?
Wrong? Oh no, nothing's wrong. We've just been traveling a while now, and I figure there hasn't exactly been equitable distribution of information. I've gotten a decent glimpse into your dirty laundry, but you still don't really know a whole heck of a lot about me. I figured I'd offer to balance the board. So, is there anything you want to know?
What's with the outfit?
After I started the agency, it just seemed like the sort of thing a detective ought to wear. I got some old memories, pre-war. Faded to all heck of guys dressed like this, doing what I do. Putting on the hat and trench coat, and I figured it'd let folks know I was serious about the whole thing. Clothes make the man and all that. Guess I felt they made me the man I wanted to be.
what do you remember about the Institute?
It's all pretty hazy from back then, but now and then I get glimpses. Life inside the Institute, they keep you isolated. A single test chamber was my whole world for years, and someone was always watching. Then one day you wake up on the other side, and that's it. They've cut you loose. Welcome to the brave new world, with such people in it.
So, who are you, Nick?
That's a question I've been trying to figure out myself for a long damn time. I know I'm a synth, authentic Institute handiwork, but I'm still mechanical, not bioengineered like the fancy synths giving everyone the willies these days. I get tune-ups now instead of checkups. But my memories, my personality, they're all lifted from some cop who volunteered for an experiment back before the war. They scanned his brain and copied it onto the hardware that runs between my ears. Don't know why they chose to make a robot based on some pre-war cop instead of a math genius or a bioengineer. Hey, maybe that's why the Institute tossed me in the garbage instead of turning me into one of their people snatchers.
Wait, the original Nick was from my time?
Sure was. Which meant when I finally ended up out here, it was quite the rude awakening. I remember waking up one day in a garbage heap, a body in tatters and a head full of memories belonging to a man who'd been dead for 200 years. Suffice to say, it was a confusing couple of weeks. Folks didn't really know much about synths back then, so when I finally ran into people, they mostly treated me with caution rather than hostility. But the kids, they weren't afraid. I think his name was Jim. The first person to actually speak to me after I got the boot from the Institute. My first human contact in this world. Grilled me for an hour. Once they'd seen I wasn't going to hurt anyone, the other folks in the neighborhood came out to ogle the mechanical man. It eventually turned into a pretty swell soiree. Local mechanic even gave me a once-over, free of charge. Those people, they treated me like a human being. I've been trying to return the favor ever since. It's a surprisingly rare trait out here sometimes. It's something I've noticed you got a fondness for. Part of the reason I've stuck around this long.
Where's that town? We should go visit.
I tried to go back and say thanks, once I'd gotten myself established. But the place was wiped off the map. Raiders. Don't know what happened to the people.
If you're good to people, they'll be good back. That's something I've always believed.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I expect you're about as bored as can be listening to me rattle my skeletons. We should probably head out.
Right. Yep. Codsworth, you around here? Distinct lack of robot. Here we go. Here he is.
Mother Nature never ceases to amaze. Through all the post-war devastation, the sunrise is still quite impressive.
Gotcha, Codsworth. So, all our existing settlements are all linked up with trade networks. Starlight Drive-In is the main hub there. Taffling Boathouse, main source of people. Getting plenty of people in.
Out a good neighbor, all I'm saying.
You're the one that wants to use G519's body? I just don't have the caps to keep her alive anymore. Life support ain't easy or cheap, you know? I was gonna pull the plug on her. What you're proposing sounds a little better. Better than letting her rot.
What do you think she would want?
Damned if I know. It's not like I even knew her before. Since G5 has no one else, for what it's worth, you have my consent.
Thank you. I know this must be difficult.
Yeah. I'll leave you to it.
Curie, let's begin. Curie, terminate all non-essential operations.
Affirmative.
All right. Connection complete. I have access to your friend's memories. G5's already been prepped.
I hope everything
So
worked
this
out
shouldn't
okay.
take long. Yes. There.
My chest. What is happening?
Just breathe. It's an autonomic function. Just let your body do what it must.
I feel so strange.
Listen to me. Can you hear me? What is your name?
My designation is Contagions, Vulnerability, Robotic, Infirmary Engineer. Or Curie.
Is that really you, Curie?
Yes. You sound so different with these ears.
Good. Very good. Now let's test some cognitive functions. What is 1 plus 2?
3.
If I threw a baseball at your head, what would you do?
Move.
Think of a strong memory. The first that comes to mind. Tell me about him.
Dr. Burrow was very old. He was the last living scientist in my section of Vault 81. He was on his bed, very weak. He said to me, "Curie, you must..." And he died before he finished the sentence. Oh, my insides feel peculiar. What is that?
Are you okay, Curie?
I feel functional, but this feeling, my chest is tight. Poor Dr. Burrow.
The operation appears successful. But I think it will take a lot of adjustment for your new friend. She may need your help to make the transition.
Thank you, Doctor, for this opportunity. I wonder what has happened elsewhere. Is what has befallen the Commonwealth atypical, less extreme, more?
I need to ask you something.
Remember, to breathe. I keep thinking if I forget to do this, no more Curie. And suddenly, all this excitement we do, there is an element of something new. What if my arm is blown off? It is not so simple to repair this now.
Are you afraid?
I suppose it could be fear, but something else as well. It is a jumble. I will be fine. It is coming to me. Quickly, I hope. Just bear with me. I am sure my research will blossom with this magnificent new hardware.
That's Curie fitted out.
Mama Murphy's as good as her word, kid. No more chems, and no more sight either.
Good for you, Mama Murphy. Oh, Olivia. Oh, that's easy enough to do. So, we find our suit of power armor.
I can barely tell us apart.
I haven't got a right leg or a right arm, but
Who's there?
got him.
Something's not right here.
No, it isn't. But I want that.
Blue, we're not alone. So violent.
Okay, we'll leave it off there. We've not done a lot of fighting today, we've just done the memory den stuff, but there we go, that's how it goes. It's sometimes a lot of fighting, sometimes a little bit of fighting. So, this is Rodlin, I'm Richard, and this has been Fallout 4 Private Army. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.